All right, folks, real quick, Hewlett-Packard shares have just been halted. A major spike before that. It's up 4%. Already traded 10 million shares. Normally trades 8. We'll get back to you on that. In the meantime, we are seeing more and more signs that Americans are skipping college, including a recent report from the Federal Reserve. And while we all know the pandemic has played a role in last year's decline, really, it feels like there's an awakening, right, to the true cost, especially if you have the wrong degree, and even overpaying if you have the right degree. I want to bring in from a Young Americans for Liberty, Kristin Tate, on this. And Kristin, you have long warned that this was going to happen. You've talked about this. So what are younger adults seeing now that's really making them change their minds?
Well, this trend is much bigger than the pandemic, Charles. I mean, increasingly young people are beginning to realize that they've been sold a bill of goods by an education system that's failed them. We've talked about it on the show many times. I mean, young people have been encouraged to bury themselves tens of thousands of dollars in debt for these degrees that are often not really a good return on investment. I mean, is it really worth taking out $100,000 to $200,000 in loans plus interest for a liberal arts degree? For some students, the answer to that question is going to be no, especially when you consider that the average salary in the U.S. for, say, an English major graduate is $43,000 a year. There are alternative paths to college that can be more lucrative, and we are increasingly becoming a skills-based economy where what you know, how you use it, and how hard you're willing to work is almost as important, or in some cases more important, than your college degree.
Yeah, I'm glad. By the way, and I'm glad that's the way it is. I think, the elbow grease, the work ethic, and all those things matter. Now, yesterday, you seem to take offense at Elizabeth Warren. There was a tweet she put out calling for the cancellation of $50,000 in student loans. She claims that it would lift a huge burden from the same communities hardest hit by the pandemic. So you're calling foul on this. What is she getting wrong here? What is she? She's obviously stretching the truth, but she hasn't stopped.
Yeah, well, canceling student loan debt, it's a catchy bumper sticker slogan. It's very fashionable for lefties to call for this right now. But it would largely be a wealth transfer from taxpayers, which includes minority communities and blue-collar workers, to middle and upper income earners. We know from Federal Reserve statistics that the majority of student loan debt is held by upper and middle income workers. So this would just be a disastrous policy if it were actually rolled out. And not to mention, it's very insulting to people who decided not to go to college because they could not afford it, and to those who paid off their loans quickly. Oh, and also to veterans who went into service to get a free college education.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it is so nuts that they keep pushing this, and the way they push it is offensive. Hey, I want to get this in also because the Federal Reserve posted a really good paper, people should read it, on the need for a general purpose central bank digital currency, right? But here's Janet Yellen for the last 2 weeks. She's been pounding the heck out of Bitcoin, taking shots at it, saying it's used for organized crime. And the Federal Reserve saying, yeah, but we're going to have our own Bitcoin. How do we reconcile these two things?
Yeah, well, Janet Yellen continues to disparage cryptocurrencies because they remove currency controls from the central government. She implies that they're dangerous and they need regulation. And the suggestion of a digital dollar is almost pushing this idea that it will satisfy the demand for cryptocurrencies. But people are not buying cryptocurrencies just because they want a digital currency. They're buying cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin because they believe the U.S. dollar will continue to fall in value with this out-of-control federal spending. It's also very important, Charles, to consider the privacy concerns with a digital dollar. I mean, a centralized digital currency would give the central bank just an unprecedented amount of access into transactions and all of the details of transactions from all of its users. So there are lots of questions to be asked here and red flags that are coming up.
I'm going to put you down as a maybe. All right, Kristin. Thank you very much. We'll talk again soon.